I chose to talk about how God has used me in the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
My testimony, my story, I think it's a unique story. I've been through a lot. I've grown a lot, especially in my spiritual walk. A few weeks back, I had the opportunity to listen to a sermon by a guy by the name of Bob Harrison. His message focused on how we were all meant to flourish like the palm tree. And he referenced Psalms 92:12, and which states, "The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon." Okay? Hindsight 2020, now that I look back on it, that verse has done a lot for me in my life. It's been there with me the whole time. I just didn't know it. Now I look back, my life has come full circle. And I can see how God intended me to flourish the whole time. But being a young lad, I just didn't know at that time. I was kind of hard-headed. I was spiritual. I was deeply rooted in the church, just like most of us are. But once again, I tried to find my own way. And I always knew God had a plan, just didn't know what it was. Let's go further into the palm tree just a little bit. The palm tree is a strong tree. You know, we can flourish in any kind of weather, good or bad, any environment, in any circumstance. You ever look at the National Weather Service bulletin when there's a hurricane coming into town, it's hitting shore, and the palm tree is doing this? You never see them get uprooted, do you? They can flourish. They flourish in bad and good situations. The main reason they flourish is because of how deep their roots go. Okay, see, they all work as one. Their roots go deep down into the sand where they hit the earth's core. That's where they get their nourishment from. And see, all those roots get together. They get that palm tree over there, that palm tree over there, that palm tree over there. And you can't see it, but they're all underneath. They're all intertwined, holding each other together. That's what we have to do as men. We have to be there for each other. You kind of saw the video earlier to where the father came out and helped the son, where in this case, in any negative circumstance, we're talking about how do we need to move the brotherhood forward. In any negative circumstance, we all need to be there together. Brother Obadiah talked about the different ministries we need as men. We need to be strongly rooted together. Not just times we're all getting together, hanging out. This is the easy part right here, us getting together. The hardest part when we leave.
Amen.
How deep are our roots? Who are we entangled with? We really have to ask ourselves that question. Getting back to what I was talking about, God says that we can flourish because of His blessings on our lives. Even if we are in the middle of the desert, we should be able to flourish. We should expect to flourish. Okay? I've had plenty of deserts, I guess you would say, in my life. It all started in high school. Some big deserts, some small deserts. I've had to put it in that way. I was athletically gifted, but with that comes some arrogance, some cockiness. That's not something I'm proud of. I remember one particular game where I was running down the field. Unfortunately, we were playing Northwest Rankin. That's old guy school district. We blasted. It wasn't no problem. But seriously, I remember running down the field, and I'm shaking and baking, and I see a guy in front of me, and I saw which way he was going, and I had already made up the move in my mind what I was going to make on him. And I gave it to him. Whoop, whoop, whoop. He went down. Whoop. And I'm thinking in my mind, instead of running with the ball, I'm like, man, I just did him. And so eventually I got tackled, and I went up to that guy, and I tossed the ball to him. And I'm on cloud 9 right now. And eventually we went on down and we scored. Everybody's high-fiving. Man, Justin, man, what a play, man. I saw you shook that dude out of his shoe, stuff like that. But when I got to the sideline, it seemed like the Red Sea had parted. My dad was standing over the rail. I'm smiling, I'm looking up. You see that? He said, yeah, but if you ever do that again, you would never play another down of football. And it kind of took the wind out of my sail. But that's how I was deeply rooted. I appreciate that. Arrogance was a small desert in my life. Even when I called passes in Mississippi State, like my dad said, I broke touchdown records, so I scored a lot. I never celebrated. My mind always took me back to what my dad said. You'll never play another down of football if you ever act like that again. Now, when I was in Europe, they promoted celebrations because they wanted to build the game up. over there. So in the World Bowl, I scored a touchdown. I said, you know what? I hadn't celebrated since that time in high school. I hadn't celebrated since that time in high school. So I'm going to go ahead and celebrate. So I didn't know what to do. So I went, I jumped on the pole, and I slid down. Like slide. The poles they had at the recreation park. As soon as I hit the ground, I see a red and yellow flag come up. I said, my dad told me. Don't ever do that again. No, but seriously, that was a small desert. Arrogance was a small desert in my life because I didn't know how to accept being good at that time. Another small desert I had in high school was the fact that I had a torn ACL my junior year. That's the year you're supposed to do well and get recruited to be able to play further. Well, I believe it was the second game of the season I tore my ACL, and when guys tear their knees up now, they're out 12 months. But I remember waking up that Saturday morning, and I was touching my knee, and I was just kind of going back and forth. And something was telling me, Justin, you still can play. If you just really put your mind to it, you still can play. And eventually, I played the whole season. I think Coach Knight was one of my coaches at the time. I ended up playing the whole season with a torn ACL. That was nobody but God. That was just another small desert that I had to get through. Okay, but the biggest challenge in my high school days was my spiritual walk. That was the biggest challenge. I guess you would say being the man, quote unquote, man on campus, something like that. People felt like I had it all. I could do what I want, say what I want, get away with what I want. It just didn't matter. But deep down, I was hurting because I knew I was deeply rooted in church. I didn't want to be too lame, at the same time, but I wanted to do just enough where they said, Justin's a little bit of a bad boy too. You didn't want to, it was kind of different. I wasn't ashamed of church, anything like that, but I didn't want to be that guy, well, he's lame, he's a church boy, all this stuff. So I did just enough. So one day I decided to make up my mind. I said, you know what, I can't live like this. Only God that I need to please is God.
Yeah.
And at that point in my life, and I guess, I don't know if Coach White could attest to this, but I became a leader my senior year based on decisions I've made just to change my life around. It wasn't perfect, but at the same time, I just knew what it took. God intended me to be the leader, and I needed to be there. And I had a guy, I guess he was a thug, pretty much. He was a thug. People started to see Justin as a church boy, someone who they thought would be successful. Man, Justin got a lot of things going for him. They saw the path I was taking. They kind of saw where my path was going. I was getting recruited by 32 different universities. It's like, what is he doing right that I'm not doing right? Because we had a lot of talent on that team at the time. And I'll never forget, a guy walked up to me and said, Justin, when are you going to let me go to church with you? I never said anything about church. I just kind of walked in faith and just kind of was silent. But he saw something in me to where he said, when are you going to let me go to church with you? And I believe at that point in time, when I look back on it, that was just God's way of saying, Justin, you're flourishing. Continue to flourish. Not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But just continue to flourish. You're going to have those deserts in your life, but continue to flourish. We should expect to flourish even when we're in the desert. Okay? After high school, I went on to attend Mississippi State University. I went to Mississippi State University, and that was a tough spot for me. A lot of people turn on TV, see me score touchdowns, things like that, and just, oh man, what a grand time he's had. But that wasn't the case. I remember when I got there, that was one of the most talented recruiting classes ever assembled in the state of Mississippi. And I wasn't a nobody, but I wasn't really a somebody. When I got there, I'll never forget, one guy called me out in front of the team. We were all joking around. And he said, Justin, you know what, man, you just a waste of scholarship. And me growing up in the church, I know what I wanted to say. But I didn't know what to say. I just said, man, we'll see who make it farther, me or you. Everybody was like, boo. I didn't really have a comeback because hate wasn't in my heart. I just never was, challenged like that, especially in front of 82 different young guys immature guys really, they expect me to fight back or curse somebody out, things like that. But that was a tough spot for me. And when I got there, I played quarterback in high school. I feel like I was probably one of the best quarterbacks in the state at the time, so it was hard for me to get there and for them to want them to put me at safety. They want me to play strong safety. When I took my visit, the 2 starting safeties, I saw both of them walk around in slings. I said, man, Coach, I don't mean no harm, but I don't want no parts of that. I'm a quarterback. I ain't finna hit nobody, But I said, please, let me play offense. Just put me in offense, I'll be fine. I know I can make plays. He said, all right, we'll put you on offense. Put you at running back. I said, Coach, I don't think you understand. I played quarterback in high school. I ain't trying to get hit either. And he said, he's like, Justin, when you're going to play running back, you're too fat to go anywhere else. So it is what it is. So I remember going to the running back room, going to my meetings and stuff like that. I would just simply fall asleep. I was just interested. And I know that's not the proper way to act, but I just feel like it was something more. I didn't feel like that was utilized. So I was always taught in the church, my mom would tell me this day, son, just pray about it. You pray about it, keep God first. Don't even worry about it. It's going to take care of itself. So one day I went and I guess I called Coach Sherrill in a good mood. I said, Coach, if you just put me in wide receiver, I know I'd be good. He was like, nah, you're just too big, too fat. I was like 218 at the time. I said, well, I'll work hard to get my weight off, red shirt, whatever you got to do, but I'll do it. He said, whatever you say. I got my weight down. I was running a 4.47 at the time, which was decent. Now people run 4.2s. I mean, it's insane. And but I got my weight down to 207. And I was cut up. I was ready. He came back in the spring, following my redshirt year, and there was 14 different receivers on the whole roster. And the depth chart came out. I was looking. There I was, number 14. I said, man, they won't be making it. But you know what? That was just another small desk. One particular play, some receiver got hurt in the spring. I was a freshman at the time. Receiver got hurt. And receiver coach pushed me out there. He's like, just go out there on this play, just run a corner. And basically, I was supposed to get out the way. Because somebody else would catch. And Wayne Mackey, who was the quarterback at the time, he got in a little bit of trouble. He just lost it up to me. Lost it up. And I remember I was just standing there. I didn't know what to do. It was like slow motion. And the defensive back was in front of me. So of course people expect the interception. Well, I jumped over him, and I wish I could jump this high this day. But I remember looking at his helmet right here. And that's how high I was over him. And I just simply caught it. And Coach Sherrill said, I went to the sideline, everybody high-fived me. I'm like, man, you see that? You see that? Because I wasn't supposed to be out there in the first place. He said, Justin, get back out here. I said, man, what I did not? I ain't even doing it. I thought I made a play. He said, listen, get back in there. Get back in there. Get back in there. See, that was a small desert. And at that point, I went on to, I guess you say, flourish at Mississippi State University. Like my dad said, I set records. Was able to start my sophomore, junior, and senior year wide receiver. All SEC performance. But that only because of hard work, dedication, and keeping folks on the hand, what was at hand. There was another little small desert. I could have just said, you know what? They don't want me to make it. That's nothing I can do right now. I mean, what can I do right? I could let that desert just be too big of a desert. I feel like I didn't overcome. I never forget, my mom and dad came to a practice. During this time, I didn't even know they were there. I was practicing. I remember feeling down because I didn't know where they wanted me to be on the team, how I was going to. And we had all these promises they had made to other recruits, Dante Walker in particular. I mean, I didn't know where I fit in. And I remember looking at my mom and dad. I remember sitting up in, they came to practice. They set up in the tennis courts, stands. They were just looking down on practice. And I knew right then, I said, I'm not in this by myself. I am not in this by myself. My mom, I got my dad. I got a guy here. I am not here by myself. Here I am from Sweetgrass Church, little boy growing up. Now look at me now. God didn't put me here just to fail. Okay? And there was another little small desert I would have to say was I was dropping a lot of balls at one point in my career. I don't know what was going on. I couldn't focus. I can't remember coming home during the bye week, and they had an article in the paper. Jenkins can't catch on. It's a big article on how I was dropping the ball. I couldn't catch a cover. And I remember looking over at my sister, Trace, and she started crying. She said, "There's so much pressure." She said, "So much pressure. What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know. Just going to pray about it. Keep God first and just move forward. I don't know. But it's going to work out." And at that point, it just seemed like stuff started to happen. I started getting better. You know, that was just God saying, "Justin, I told you I got my hands on it. That's just another little small desert you have to go through. I got my hands on it." Well, eventually, everything worked out to some stage where I did get looked at in the NFL. I went undrafted. I remember like it was yesterday. I was number 11, wide receiver out. So many wide receivers in the nation. I was so ecstatic, so excited about the possibility of making all this money, getting drafted. I was projected to go in the second, third round. Well, eventually those rounds passed. And I was like, man, what's going on? You know, well, maybe I get drafted in the fourth round. That passed. Fifth round, it passed. My dad went to church on Sunday, I guess hoping to come back with some good news. Well, eventually the draft was over. My name wasn't called at all. And I remember Mel Kiper, they said, you know, he's the draft guru. Everybody knows Mel Kiper. They said, "Mel, out of all the players in the country, who are you just surprised? Who's your number one guy looking for free agents? Who are you surprised at not getting drafted at all?" I remember sharing TV, he said, "There's a guy by the name of Justin Jenkins out there. He basically pleaded my case for me." And I was like, man, basically, look at God. And my phone started ringing. Washington Redskins, New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody was calling to talk to Justin. And at that point, I said, I don't know what my plan is. I don't know what God's plan is for me. But I know I'm not going to fail because he got his hands on me. You know, as I moved forward, I was put on the practice squad during my time in Philadelphia. I was fortunate enough to go to the Super Bowl, like my dad said. I did go to the Super Bowl. We won the NFC Championship ring. And that was just a joyous occasion for myself. I remember I didn't play. I just was there, having fun, looking at all the celebrities. I let Donovan McNabb, T.O., I let them do what they do. I didn't care about playing. I was just glad to be there. I was just glad to be there. But there were some deserts. I remember my second year, I had done so well on practice squad the first year. My second year, Coach Andy Reid came up to me. He was like, "Justin," he was like, "basically, you've done well." He said, "Expect to play this year." And I didn't tell anybody. You know, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. We lost the Super Bowl. I know we're going to get back there. I'm going to be a part of this, you know. But I'll never forget, I was so excited. We played the Baltimore Ravens, first preseason game. And the first way to play is to be on special teams. If you start on special teams, you're pretty much a lock. You know, you're pretty much a lock. So I remember before the game, Coach Reid said, "Justin, you're starting on special teams tonight." And I called my fiance at the time, Anita, and I told her, I said, "Man, they got me starting tonight." And she was like, "Well, do good. I'm praying for you, everything." Well, first play, I remember we was in the huddle, and they would slap me on the head and say, "Jenkins, you ready? You ready?" Because I was a young guy. I was the youngest guy out there. "Jenkins, you ready?" I said, "Man, I'm ready. He said, John Harbaugh, who's the head coach of the Ravens now, ironically, he said, "Jenkins, I want you to use speed and get down there as fast as you can. If you go inside that guy that's supposed to block you, make sure you get back out so that guy won't run down, the returner won't run down the side." I said, "Yes, sir." And so there I was running down the field. It was all happening in slow motion. And here that guy is. I said, "There that guy." I went inside. I said, "Get back outside, Justin." I got back outside. First play of the game, I tear my ACL. And I was sitting there on the ground. And I knew that feeling I had back in 98, 97. That pop. And I said, "Man, Justin, you can get up." I said, "You can get up. You can do this. It ain't that bad. It might not be that bad." You know, well, eventually it was a torn ACL. And Coach Reid came to me after the game. I said, "Coach, I don't know what's going to happen." I said, "I'll be ready by minicamp." He said, like, basically don't make those promises because it's so long. It takes so long to come back. Well, I worked hard. I was praying over mine. I had prayer warriors at home praying for me, mom, everybody. My mom, Sister Higgins, she was praying for me. 4 months later, I'm running full speed. Coach Rita couldn't believe it. They could not believe it, but they did not want to take a chance. I was eventually released from the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a rainy day. My phone rang on cut day. And the guy, they knew in the organization, they've grown to like me. They've grown to like me a lot because of my character and how I handle myself. Words come out of their mouth. He said, the guy said, Justin, he said, the phone gets quiet. He says, Justin, I don't know really how to say this, but you've been released by the Philadelphia Eagles, and I need you to bring your playbook in with you. Then he started to cry on the phone because they saw the hard work and dedication I put in there. Now, he started to cry, I started to cry. And two grown men crying on the phone. But you know, I didn't know where I was going at the time. I had just gotten married 2 months prior. Spent all my money on my wedding. I was stuck like Chuck. But I came home, and I didn't know, me and my wife, I never forget, we kept praying. We was like, God, just give us the next opportunity. And it was long prayer. And I didn't know he was like, maybe make it long, maybe he'll, do something. No, but we were in a place where we were very uncomfortable. We were staying with my mom and dad. Didn't have any money to spend. All I money on our wedding. We didn't know where we were going. And I never forget, I got hired at the airport, Jackson Airport. And I was taking tips. I was checking in bags, taking tips. And I never forget, I saw some of my former teammates coming down, ready to go to camp. And who turn was it, Lord behold, to carry their bags. I was all off balance. I was all over the place. And I said, dang, they was like, Jenkins, your turn. I walked up, they said, and one particular guy, spread smooth. He said, man, where you going? Where you headed to? I'm with you. I reached for his bag, of course, I said, I work at the airport, man, and I said, I'm just side gig until, I get back on my feet. And you don't know how tough it was for me to say that. Yeah. As a man, for where I've been, they say highs and lows, but I had a lot of highs at that point in my life. And just be able to sit there and carry another man's bags. Didn't even leave a tip. But I guess because I didn't need it. I don't know. No, but seriously, that was another smaller desert in my life. I did get one particular workout while I got called from Buffalo to come work out for them during that time I'm working at the airport. I go up there, I thought I had a good workout, and I told my wife when I came back, I said, Buffalo was so miserable when I was there. You got to ever worry about me going to Buffalo. And we left it at that. She said, well, I don't want to go. It's cold anyway. So maybe God got something else in store for us. Well, eventually I went to NFL Europe, won the World Bowl, did well there. Came back home. Atlanta Falcons was ringing my phone. Well, I had a lot of teams ringing my phone, but I chose Atlanta because it's close to home. Really didn't want to go to New Orleans for some reason. I'm sorry for the Saints fan. I just really didn't like New Orleans so much at the time. Who knew they were going to win the Super Bowl? I guess that's on me. That's kind of look I was having. But Atlanta, I went to sign my contract in Atlanta, and I was excited. They were like, Justin, we're going to sign you. Just come on, we're going to give you a physical, sign you, and we'll send you back home for 2 weeks for training camp to start. Well, I get there, and I'm in there with Rich McKay, the general manager, to sign my contract. And he said, Justin, hold on for a minute. We're going to wait a second. I said, what are we waiting on? He said, we got another guy we're looking at now. Mind you, my phone was ringing. I told everybody no, because I hadn't made up my mind I was going to Atlanta. And he said, we're going to wait a second. I said, what you mean we're going to wait a second? He's like, we got another guy we're interested in, and if he signs, we're not going to sign. I was like, man, what? I was devastated. I didn't know what to say. So I called my agent. My agent calls him, and I was like, well, I'm going to leave. Because it wasn't nothing to sign me and cut me the next day. There was no problem. They had already made up their mind they wanted someone else. And basically, I just told him I'm out. He said, no, we'll sign you. I'm like, no, I ain't falling for that okie doke. But my agent got on the phone. And everybody else had already filled their rosters up for camp. One team picked up the phone. Buffalo. So my wife, she's like, who is it? I said, man, like we're going to Buffalo. But during my time, I'm almost done. During my time in Philadelphia, because of the way I was brought up and how I was deeply rooted in the church, I was deeply rooted in the church. I always watch what I said, watch what I did. People picked up on that from high school to college, became a leader. And even in Philadelphia, one specific guy took to me, and that was Terrell Owens. He did not talk to anybody on the team. I mean, when I say anybody, out of 53 guys, he might have talked to 4 of us. But he came to me one day, and he just poured his heart out to me. And when we got down to it, it was based on the fact how I was deeply rooted in the church. He's from Alabama, I'm from Mississippi. You know, church is big down south. And he was just talking like, Justin, he's like, man, I'm thinking about giving up. I want to do this, I want to do that. And I would just talk to him. And I was a rookie at the time. And I was like, man, I can't believe it. I tell my wife, I said, man, T.O. is really relying on me. He's talking to me, he's calling me, texting me. And it felt, I was uncomfortable because I was just this little guy. And here is this, everybody know T.O. Here's this big personality. And he was like, man, I really trust you and all this stuff. Just basically pouring his heart out to me. I just couldn't figure out why. And so when I was in Buffalo, I was there for a couple years. Fortunately, my knees started to go bad. And I knew it was time to pretty much hang it up. And I knew I wasn't going to make the cut that year. Didn't tell anybody. They had brought in a lot of the receivers. They had drafted a couple of receivers. There wasn't room for all of us. And then my phone rang. And it was from a foreign number. I thought maybe I owed a bill or something. You know how it is. I answered the phone. I said, hello? And I hear somebody say, Jenkins. I said, man, who is this? He said, man, it's T.O. And I hadn't talked to him in three plus years now, since I left Philadelphia. And he said, man, look, I trust you. I need to know something. I said, what's that? He said, I know you're in Buffalo. What do you think? I said, T, I think it'll be awesome. I think you do well. I didn't tell him I probably wasn't going to be there. But I said, I think you do well. I said, I think it's a good time when you get your career back on track. He was having a hard time in Dallas. And he says, you think? I said, I think. So, lo and behold, the next morning, my phone rings. My good friend Lee Evans, who plays wide receiver as well at Buffalo at the time. He said, man, you ain't going to believe who we just signed. I said, who, man, who? And I didn't want to tell him. I didn't want to say, I talked to him and all this stuff. He said, man, T.O. coming. T.O. coming. He chose Buffalo out of all these other teams. And so when coaches got down to it, and they said, what made you choose Buffalo? A small market team. You Philadelphia, Dallas, big market teams. He said, Coach, be honest with you. He said, I made a phone call to a friend, Justin Jenkins. They were like, Justin? Yeah, Justin. And I trusted him. I trusted his judgment. And for that reason, Buffalo kept me for another year. Yeah. Just to put on T.O. But it was just God who said, just I got my hands on it. Because that was just a small desert. I knew my knees were giving out. I didn't even practice my last year. I couldn't practice. I couldn't even walk. I was getting treated 24/7. Most people don't know how hard it is not to be able to get up and walk. I was getting treated 24/7. They brought all these machines to my house just so I could be able to play on Sunday to get me through it. They knew my career was over. I knew my career was over. My family didn't know. But God got me through it. It really did. And thanks to him, and thanks to T.O., she was above her, kept me that good. But I want y'all to know, I was forced to retire because of my bad knees. But I thank God every day for what he's brought me through and allowed me to continue to flourish. Today, as my dad said, I am the internet sales manager at Rogers Dab Chevrolet. I get a joy out of meeting new people, selling them something they never thought they could buy. Amen. Hearing their stories, all while telling mine. In the end, I realized that life is full of deserts. We will all go through them. Some of them may last for a few minutes, hours, days, or even months. But you must remember that a desert is just a pit stop between two oases. Like the palm tree, we must not stray too far from our source. If you desire to flourish in any area of your life, be it your spiritual walk, your relationships, career, school, whatever it is, you must stay deeply rooted like the palm trees in Christ and allow him to be your source of all hope, promise, and understanding. Have faith in his word, and you know that the righteous shall flourish like the palm. I thank you, gentlemen, for your time. And may God bless you.